Welcome to the Junkyard Joust, a competition where 25 cars go head-to-head and try to flip each other upside down and be the last one remaining. This, I believe, is the first Junkyard Joust that hasn't been shot in live action. I used a program called Algojoust, which is a physics engine. Starting off, we have Monte Carlo Concept. The concept hits the safety barrier and bounces back. Next up is the Hirohata Merc. The Merc hits the concept and sends it barreling back into the safety bar. Up next is Solaire. Solaire can't get under the Merc, and MCC is sent once again into the safety bar. Up next is Two-Timer. Two-Timer gets a good hit in on Solaire, but Solaire flips over to a recovery. Ooh, and Two-Timer comes back for more. Solaire lands it, though. Up next is Silver Bullet. Whoa! What a hit! Two-Timer is sent up to the front and lands on top of MCC, but stays right side up. Next up is a Low Flow. Uh-oh, that doesn't look good. Low Flow is sent to the front of the line and lands straight upside down. Up next is the Ford Mustang. Let's see if Low Flow can make a recovery on any of these hits. And Silver Bullet is thrown by the Mustang into the front of the line on top of Low Flow, and it also lands upside down. Hammered Coupe is up next, and it hits the Mustang, but nothing comes of it. No undercutting, and Low Flow slides off. Commander Croc is up next, and it hits the back of Hammered Coupe, flipping the Mustang over. And Croc is in a really weird position. Next up is Shadowjet. And Shadowjet hits Croc, but it doesn't succeed in doing anything except sending Two-Timer over in the front of the line. Next up is Power Rocket. Power Rocket hits Shadowjet, and Shadowjet with a huge flip to a recovery. A beautiful landing. Next up is the F40. The F40 hits Croc and sends Power Rocket flipping to a recovery. Up next is the Supra. And it hits the Ferrari F40, but it doesn't get an undercut. We'll see if it can on the next hit. The next hit will be Shadowjet 2, which is a great undercutter. And it gets under both the Supra and the F40, and the Supra goes over. It can't make a recovery. The F40, however, is poised on the back of Shadowjet 2, and I wouldn't want to be there knowing who's going to come down next. It's Tall Order Hauler. Whoa, a huge hit, and it sends the Ferrari into the lever, and it pulls the lever, sending the lava toppling on top of Tall Order. Several cars are jostled on that hit. I see the Merc upside down. Commander Croc and Solaire are upside down in the relative safety area, and lots of cars are bouncing on the bounce pad. Let's play that back again. I want to see the replay. What a huge hit. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that on the live action Joust. Next up is the Pontiac GTO. Uh-oh, the GTO hits the lava and flips directly upside down. Cars are still bouncing on the bounce pad, but it doesn't look like any of them are changing positions right now. Oh, and the Merc flips out of there, and it sends Shadowjet 2 upside down. And the Mustang also flips out of there and is upside down. Power Rocket hits a piece of lava, and it's bouncing around. It makes another flip back onto the bounce pad, and it's going to make another flip onto the bounce pad. Will this ever end? Power Rocket attempting to make a recovery, and it does! It goes off of the bounce pad after flipping numerous times. Up next is Bone Shaker. And Bone Shaker has a tough time going down the ramp, but it does recover. Oh no, it doesn't! It flips over on the back of Shadowjet too. And now Roger Dodger is coming down. Ooh, Roger Dodger doesn't get the best of that hit, and it sends lava everywhere. A piece of lava just went into the sky. I don't think that one's coming back. Roger Dodger and the GTO are now upside down at the foot of the track. Flash Fire, here's a big undercutter. It could send lava places. And it does! What a huge hit! Lava flies everywhere. What a beautiful pattern it made in the sky. I want to see a replay of that. It sends lava everywhere. And the GTO flying onto the back of Tall Order Hauler. The GTO is unable to make a recovery. Up next is Power Rocket. Power Rocket tries to hit Flash Fire, but it doesn't actually make contact. It flies off of the lava and sends a couple more pieces onto the back of Tall Order Hauler. The Sports Car. And it doesn't go off of the lava, but it doesn't cause any shakeups on the track either. Here comes Lamelt. Uh-oh, Lamelt doesn't have a good time going down the hill, and it hits the back of the sports car and flips directly over. Windmill's up next. Let's see if it can save Lamelt. And it does! It saves Lamelt. Optimus Prime is up next. A huge hit from Optimus, and it sends Lamelt back over. Twinmill's also flipped over. The sports car recovers. Lots of changes of fate on that hit. The GTO also makes a recovery. And lava is still flying everywhere. Up next is the Porsche. Ooh, it has a weird hit on the back of Optimus Prime. It looks like maybe it got stuck in its wheel a little bit. But it just locks into the track, and we're on to the next hit. But that was the final car of the round. Solaire and Commander Croc are out in the relative safety area. Shadowjet and the Ferrari F40 are barely under 90 degrees, and they will be in. So are Bone Shaker and the Hirohata Merc. Low Flow is out, that's a big elimination. And Lamelt also goes down, along with Roger Dodger. We lost 11 cars in that round, and the big rigs caused a lot of devastation. Let's see if that continues in round 2. Starting off with Twinmill. Shadowjet, up next. Can it get under? It cannot get under the back wheel of Twinmill. And the Pontiac GTO is going to try to shake things up. All it can do is get a little bit under Shadowjet, and Shadowjet locks back in. The Toyota Supra up next. Ooh, it hits the GTO, and the GTO gets a little hooked on the back of Shadowjet. But the GTO locks back in, and the Supra isn't looking too great. The Hirohata Merc is coming down next, and it could cause some problems. The Supra somehow stays stable and recovers on the back of Shadowjet too. Here's Optimus Prime. What a huge hit! It sends cars flying! It was especially devastating to Shadowjet too, but there are a couple cars right now on the bounce pad and I don't think they're safe. But Shadowjet can't quite make a recovery, and neither can the Merc. The Supra and the GTO are trying to get off of the bounce pad, but I don't know if they'll succeed. Here comes Power Rocket. Ooh, Power Rocket doesn't hit Twinmill and it just goes off the back of it. It makes a flip and it can't recover. The Supra and the GTO are still on the bounce pad and they're both out. Here comes Tall Order Hauler, the big one. And Tall Order with a huge hit, sending Twin Mill and Power Rocket flying. Power Rocket makes a beautiful recovery, and then flips back over on the cab of Tall Order Hauler. Twin Mill makes a nice recovery though. Shadow Jet also flips over to a recovery. Shadow Jet 2 up next. And Shadow Jet 2 can't get under the back of Tall Order Hauler. I don't know if anything can, but we'll see. Here's Flashfire. Flashfire tries to undercut Shadow Jet 2, but only succeeds in getting it under Tall Order Hauler. The sports car up next. And the sports car sends Shadow Jet 2 further under Tall Order Hauler. Here's the Porsche to shake things up. And it can't do anything except send Shadow Jet 2 a little further under. Here's Bone Shaker. And Bone Shaker self-eliminates on the back of the Porsche. That didn't look good. Here's the Ferrari F40. It hits Bone Shaker, and what a twist of fate. The Ferrari F40 goes upside down and Bone Shaker makes the recovery. That was the last car of the round. We lost 4 more cars in that round. We'll see what round 3 brings, with Twin Mill starting us off again. Twin Mill slots in. Here comes Shadow Jet 2, a potential undercut. And it sends Twin Mill onto the bounce pad. Oh my goodness, how many flips did that do? And it makes a perfect recovery. Twin Mill is suddenly super agile. I counted at least 5 flips there. And it's gonna come back down the track and hit Shadow Jet 2 again. It went a little bit back up the hill. It just nudges it. But here's Optimus Prime to shake things up. And it sends Twin Mill flipping again, and it makes another beautiful recovery into relative safety. It also flips over Shadow Jet 2 on the way. Twin Mill is looking like the most agile car in this match. And another devastating hit from the big rig has taken out a big name. Here comes Power Rocket. And Power Rocket just slots in behind Optimus Prime. There's nothing going on there. But here comes Tall Order Hauler to potentially make things happen. But a huge hit sends Optimus Prime onto the bounce pad and it stays upside down. It looks like the bounce pad might not be able to bounce that heavy of a vehicle. But here's Flashfire, which could cause a recovery for Power Rocket. And it doesn't quite. Power Rocket flops onto the top of Flashfire. Here's the Porsche. And the Porsche just slots in. Shadow Jet. Shadow Jet also slots in. It gets a little under the Porsche, but it goes back down. Here's the sports car. And the sports car flips Power Rocket back to a recovery, but then Power Rocket flips back over. Power Rocket is given a second chance and it doesn't take it. Bone Shaker. And Bone Shaker assassinates the sports car. I didn't think it could do that, but its front wheel just gets under the back of it. And we're down to 6 cars after round 3. It's looking like this joust will go pretty quick. It looks like Tall Order Hauler broke its hinge on that hit, and it's sending Shadow Jet back into the track barrier. Flashfire can't get under Tall Order Hauler. I think Tall Order Hauler is just too heavy for any of these cars. Bone Shaker with a hit on Flashfire that gets it a tiny bit under Tall Order. But Flashfire slides back out, and Twinmill hits the back of Bone Shaker, does a flip, and then recovers. Flashfire is on the top of Bone Shaker, and the Porsche attempts a takedown, but it can't get anywhere. We're gonna go to increased speeds in round 5 with 6 cars left. Bone Shaker hits the front of the track, and it slots in. Shadowjet goes off the back of Bone Shaker, and it does a flip onto the bounce pad. It is sent back up the track, and is it upside down? No, it's not. It makes a recovery, and it slots in behind Bone Shaker like it originally was. Now the Porsche hits Shadowjet and sent it under Bone Shaker. Bone Shaker is on top of Shadowjet. Tall Order Hauler with a huge hit, and it sends Bone Shaker into oblivion. I don't know where Bone Shaker went on that hit, but Shadowjet is sent off the back of Tall Order Hauler, and it makes a recovery for now. Bone Shaker is going to have to come back down the track if it's still there. If it doesn't, it'll be an elimination. Bone Shaker does come back down, and it sends Shadowjet flipping back onto the bounce pad. Shadowjet, on the bounce pad, it makes a flip onto the back of Tall Order Hauler. It looks like it's recovered, but then it flips back over onto the ground. It's an elimination. Bone Shaker with a beautiful undercut, and it looks like the front of Tall Order is falling off. It looks like it's fully fallen off now, and Bone Shaker does a few flips into relative safety. I'm not even gonna count all those. That's more flips than I've ever seen a car do. Twinmill slots in to end the round, and we only lose Shadowjet. We're going into round 6 with 5 cars left. And so far it's looked like Tall Order's match to win, but Tall Order has lost its trailer. Tall Order with the hit on Flashfire, and it does get the elimination. Porsche with the hit on Tall Order, and it can't get anything going. Flashfire slides down into completely eliminated territory. Bone Shaker with a hit on the Porsche, and it sends the Porsche behind it. Here's Twinmill, and it defeats the Porsche. Sent upside down, and we lose 2 cars in round 6. Going into round 7, we have 3 left. We're still at increased speeds, and Bone Shaker slots in. Tall Order flips itself over, and it can't make a recovery. Here's Twinmill, and Twinmill rights Tall Order Hauler. Going into round 8, we go to maximum speeds. Twinmill with an odd hit on the front of the track. And then Tall Order flips over and makes a recovery off the back of Twinmill. I'm not sure how Tall Order Hauler can do that, being so top-heavy. Bone Shaker slots in to end the round. Somehow at maximum speeds that thing still stays locked in. And we're going to round 9. Bone Shaker slots in. And Tall Order Hauler gets an elimination on Bone Shaker. This is all up to Twinmill now. It's Twinmill's match to win. And Twinmill flips Tall Order Hauler over. It tries to make a recovery, but gets stuck on its nose. Twinmill comes down again, and it's gonna tap Tall Order Hauler. And it doesn't make a recovery. We have a winner in the first Algojoust. Twinmill has taken the grand prize. With a little tap on Tall Order Hauler to make sure it was down, Twinmill has secured its victory. Thank you so much for watching. This was super fun to make, although it did take a while. If you're not already in the Junkyard Joust Discord, make sure to join that. I'm not sure whether this will have a part 2 or not, but I am open to suggestions in the Junkyard Joust Discord. Thanks for watching, and have a great evening.